All right, Todd, we just saw some transition there, more inland.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, most people are going to be like, this is rain, this is snow, this is wind. And I know we've been talking heavily about the coast, and rightfully so, but there are problems elsewhere too.
It's a legit snowstorm.
Don Kerrigan, we caught him there in his kitchen, and he was talking about Port Clyde, and his buddy Jerry, he's in the fishermen's co-op there from Port Clyde, and I actually have we've been texting and friends for a while too. Not as tight as Don. Don and him, I think, are thick as thieves, but we've exchanged correspondence a little bit here and there. And he just sent me a text, and he said the parking lot's now got 5 feet of water in it. And he did also reiterate that his biggest concern is because they lost a lot of the docks there in Port Clyde 2 days ago, right, on Wednesday. And the ones that survived, he thinks they're going to lose them this time because they've been, the dock lines have been loosened up and are frayed and things like that. So it's not good. It's not good at all.
And that's why we're talking so much about the coast.
Correct.
Because it's significant.
Yeah, it's not just significant. It's like it's historic. It's never been seen in some generations. That kind of thing. So I'm actually tracking the record tide high water mark for Portland. The all-time records from the blizzard are 78. We've established that, and it's at 14.17 feet. Today's predicted tide in about half hour or so is 11.2 feet. The current surge, storm surge, so on top of that predicted tide, is 2.88 feet. At that pace, if the surge doesn't increase, we actually will not set the new record. We'll come up short of 1978. The current pace right now, 14.08 feet. Now, that doesn't mean we can't get more surge. I'm going to go keep checking that tide and update these numbers. And we'll let you know if we set a new record for the high water mark in Portland Harbor. And those records go back to 1912. Over a century of record keeping. Okay, rain at the coastline now, and we're flipping over pretty quickly in all of the bigger towns and cities, and even starting to see a little flip there for the hills. But there's a lot of heavy snow to go across the mountains and north, and we're going to end up with 6+ inches of snow up there and probably close to a foot for the highest elevations in ski country and snowmobile country. Sled country, yes, finally making some headway here, getting some snowpack on the ground, and that's what we need. We're going to watch this heavier downpour stuff taper off across the south shortly. And then in Bangor in eastern and central Maine around mid-afternoon, like 3-ish or so. This evening it's so much better. We'll be clearing out. It'll still be very mild too. We'll continue to see snow showers mixed with some sleet and some rain up north. But overnight tonight we clear out. And heads up, it's going to be colder behind this storm than the last one. So there probably will be some problems with black ice tomorrow morning, unlike the last go round. All right, this is our wind gust map. Right now, the only station that we have that's reporting over 40 miles per hour is Greenville. That does not mean that some of the islands and peninsulas that jut out into the ocean are not gusting higher. In fact, Jerry from Port Clyde also said it's like a hurricane out there in Port Clyde right now. So there are some problems with the wind, just not as many as the last go round. This is what we're really focused on. We're going to have more road closures, and we already do. We're going to have more significant beach erosion, and we already eroded a lot of the dunes that protect our coast. That's that protective barrier, and in some places it's gone. So more damage to waterfront property is very, very likely. So here's the Portland tide. Showed you this. We're getting up there right now. And again, the record is 1978. And then the other blizzard right before it, the month prior, is in the 2-hole. The Wednesday storm, by the way, 13.84. We will get higher than that. So this will be a higher water line and a water level than what happened on Wednesday. The waves hopefully won't be as big, so maybe not as much destruction. We shall see. We're going to go up the coast now. This is Bar Harbor. There's the high water mark right there. And in today's, Wednesday was the day we set the record, 15.49. I wish I could tell you what that number says. I don't have my readers on right now. I can't see it. I just can't see it. So needless to say, we're going to be really close to all of these records. The record for Cutler, 18.86. That was back in 2020, April 10th. 2020. And then Eastport, we've had this gauge since 1930, so a long time, and that record's 24.37, and it looks like we'll be getting really close to that too. Tomorrow it's cold, and then it just keeps getting colder and colder and colder next week, and there is another storm threat middle of next week. There's going to be a breeding ground for storms down here in the Gulf of Mexico and off the southeastern U.S., and that's likely to curl something up the coast. The question is, does it come far enough north and west rather to give us some snow, because it would be running into colder air. So it's not a question of precipitation type, it would be all snow. It's a question of, will we get hit by that storm? And that's Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So here's the 7-day forecast. Aaron put these together earlier this morning. 40s this afternoon. Tomorrow's a lot colder. We'll be in the 30s, and it's going to be pretty windy tomorrow too, with a little bit of sun in the morning. Monday looks nice and bright. Cold day there, MLK Day. Kids have it off, so it's a 3-day weekend for them. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not much better than 30 degrees for high temperatures, and overnight lows will be in the teens. And yes, there's a chance for snow Tuesday night into Wednesday, and perhaps something again next weekend. The pattern is favorable for storms. We just have to nail down track, and that's the question. If the track gets close enough to us, we're going to get that storm. If it doesn't, we're not. But there will be storms out there.
So winter finally arrives.
Yeah, it's here.
Back to back.
All right,
Yeah.
Todd, thank you.